Good morning, everyone. We are Group 4 and we will be presenting about interest rate. Before we start, let me introduce the group members of Group 4. My name is Chaska C. Magaway and I'm with Monica Kyla Avellanosa and Daniela Tios. First, let's have an introduction about interest rate. Interest is the monetary charge for the privilege of borrowing money. The interest rate used to calculate interest is typically expressed as an annual percentage rate, or APR. Interest is the amount of money a lender or financial institution receives for lending out money. Interest can also refer to the amount of ownership a stockholder has in a company, usually expressed as a percentage. Interest rate is a percentage of the principal that is charged on a loan or an investment, and it is known as the cost of money. Interest rate is essentially the cost of borrowing money. So when we borrow money, we agree to pay back the original amount, which is the principal, along with an additional fee, which is the interest. Annual percentage rate is a good way to calculate the cost of borrowing because it takes into account all associated costs of borrowing, including extra charge like late fees, closing fees, and administrative fees. So this fee calculated over a specific period, usually annually. So this is the formula of APR, or annual percentage rate. APR is equals to fees plus interest over principal over number of days in loan terms times 365, or equivalent to 1 times 100, where interest is equals to the total interest paid over life of the loan, principal is equals to loan amount, and n is equals to number of days in loan term. To further understand the annual percentage rate, I have here an example. Christine borrowed $2,000 at a 5% interest rate for 2 years. The closing administrative cost for the loan is $200. So first step, we need to find the total accrued amount, and the formula for that would be A is equals to P times 1 plus RT, where A is equals to total accrued amount, P is principal, R is interest rate, and T is time period. For the solution, we have here a total accrued amount as equals to 2,000, which is the principal amount, times 1 plus 5%, which is the interest rate, times 2. 2,000 times 1 plus 0.05, which is the decimal of the 5%. To get the decimal of the 5%, we need to divide the interest rate, which is the 5%, by 100, and the answer is 0.05 times 2. So 2,000 times 1 plus 0.1 is equals to 2,000 times 1.1. So the total accrued amount is $2,200. So for the next step, we need to find the interest accrued, and the formula for that would be interest accrued is equals to total accrued amount minus principal amount. For the solution, we have here a interest accrued is equals to 2,200 minus 2,000, and the interest accrued is equals to $200. For the step 3, we need to add the interest accrued to the closing administrative costs, and the formula for that would be fees plus interest. For the solution, we have 200 plus 200 is equals to $400. And the last step is we need to use the APR formula. Here's the solution to that. We have here a 400 we got from step 3 divided by 2000, which is the principal amount, divided by 2, which is the number of days in loan terms, times 1, times 100, and the total is 10%. Based on the APR calculations, we can see that even if the interest rate on the loan is only 5%, the real annual cost is 10% when all charges are included. Four most fundamental factors affecting the cost of money. We have production opportunities, time preferences for consumption, risk, and inflation. First, production opportunities. The investment opportunities in productive, cash generating assets. This is about the chances you have to make things and earn money. For example, if you have skills to make crops, your production opportunity is selling those crops for money. Second, time preferences for consumption. Preferences of consumers for current consumption as opposed to saving for future consumption. This means how much you want to spend now compared to saving for later. So, if you like spending money right away and don't like waiting, you have a preference for current consumption. But if you're okay with waiting and saving up for something bigger in the future, you have a preference for future consumption. Third, risk. The chance that an investment will provide a low or negative return. This is about the chances of something going wrong or not turning out the way you expect. For example, if you invest money in stocks, there's a risk that you might lose money if the stock prices go down. But if you put money in a savings account, the risk is much lower because it's safer. Fourth is inflation, the amount by which prices increase over time. Inflation refers to the tendency of prices to increase over periods. The expected future rate of inflation also affects the cost of money because it affects the purchasing power of investors. Inflation is like a silent thief that makes the money in their pocket worth less over time. So, when prices go up, your money can't buy as much as it used to. For example, if a chocolate bar costs 8 pesos today, but next year it costs 9 pesos. So if you have 100 pesos today, you can buy 13 chocolate bars. Next year, your 100 pesos will only be able to buy you 11 chocolate bars. So it means your money doesn't go as far because things are getting more expensive. So that's why it's very important to keep an eye on inflation because it affects how much stuff you can buy with your money.
The determinants of market interest rate. In general, the quoted or nominal interest rate on a debt security R is composed of real risk-free rate of interest R star plus several premiums that reflect inflation, the security's risk and its marketability or liquidity. This relationship can be expressed as follow. Quoted interest rate equals R star plus IP plus DRP plus LP plus MRP. This is the uh, short description of those letters, but I'm still gonna discuss a little further about this letter. Real risk-free rate of interest, the rate of interest that would exist on default free U.S. Treasury securities if no inflation were expected. The real risk-free rate of interest represent the interest an investor would expect from an absolute risk-free investment over a specified period of time. In simple terms, the real risk-free of interest rate refers to the rate of return of an investment with zero risk. Nominal or quoted risk-free rate, the rate of interest on a security that is free of all risk, is proxied by T-bill rate or T-bond rate, includes an inflation premium. Based on understanding namin, the nominal or quoted risk-free rate is very opposite sa real risk-free of interest. Because sa real risk um, free of interest, hindi nakaka-affect yung inflation premium. Pero sa nominal, nakaka-affect yung ano, inflation premium. So, what is inflation premium? Inflation premium, a premium to expected inflation that investor to the real risk rate of return. So, inflation premium is the additional return that investors demand to compensate because of the inflation. Default risk premium or DRP, the difference between the interest rate on a US Treasury bond and a corporate bond of equal maturity and marketability. Here po is like when a borrower default, ito yung additional payment or compensation na babayaran nila sa lender once na nag-default sila and it's called default risk. And here's a table yung makikita niya kung paano i-compute yung DRP ng isang country. It's based from their credit rating. So, sa US Treasury, at yung 4.65% ayun yung default rate. Tapos ima-minus mo lang sila sa rate ng per credit rating ng country. Makukuha mo na yung DRP. So next is liquidity premium or LP, a premium added to the equilibrium interest rate on a security if the security cannot be converted to cash on short notice and at close to its fair market value. So liquidity premium is the extra yield built into the returns on an asset if the investment cannot be cashed easily. It's like an compensation sa mga investments or assets na hindi ma-convert sa cash in a short notice or in a short notice. So next is the interest rate risk. In the risk of capital losses to which investors are exposed because of changing interest rate. So interest rate risk is like a constant change of interest and it reduces the value of the investment. The next one is the maturity risk premium or MRP, a premium that reflects interest rate risk. So here, maturity risk premium is like default risk premium, but this is like in an investment. So maturity risk premium is an additional payment or additional compensation sa investment dahil it's a long term at makaka-affect ang interest rate risk sa investment. And the last one is reinvestment rate risk, the risk that a decline in interest rate will lead to lower income when bonds mature and funds are reinvested. It is the risk that investors have to take because they hold on to their investment sa sobrang tagal to the point na yung interest rate nakaka-affect na sa value ng investment nila. So when they reinvest, yung investment nila, may possibility na mababa na yung value compare sa una nilang nabili yung investment nila.
So, term structure of interest rates, it is the relationship between bond yields and maturities. The term structure is important both to corporate treasurers deciding whether to borrow by issuing a long-term or short-term debt, and to investors who are deciding whether to buy long term or short term bonds. So it is commonly known as a yield curve, depicts the interest rates of similar quality bonds at different maturities. Now it reflects as the expectations of market participants but about the future changes in interest rates and their assessment of monetary policy conditions. So, pure expectations theory, a theory that states the shape of the yield curve depends on investors' expectations about the future interest rates. Now, expectations theory that predicts the future short term interest rates based on the current long term interest rates. In theory, long term rates can be used to indicate where rates of short term bonds will trade in the future. Now, pure expectations theory aims to help the investors to make decisions based upon the forecast of future interest rates. Now, to further understand the pure expectations theory, I have here an example. So, to illustrate this point, assume that the 1 year Treasury securities currently yields for 5%, and while the 2 year Treasury securities yield for 5.5%. Now, investors with a 2 year horizon have two primary options. Now, the first option is buy a 2 year security and hold it for 2 years, while the option to is buy a 1 year security and hold it for 1 year, and then at the end of the year, reinvest the proceeds in another 1 year security. So let us solve the option one first. So if the investors selected the option one, for every dollar they invest today, they will accumulated $1.113025 by the end of year two. So to get the answer, at funds at the end of the year two is equals to $1 times 1 plus 0.055, which we got from 5.5%, and then raised to 2. Now the answer will be $1.113025. So if they selected the option to Naman, they should be ending up at the same amount, but this equation is used to find the ending amount. So the formula for that would be funds at the end of year 2 is equals to $1 times 1.05, which we got for 1 plus 5%, and then times 1 plus x. So to get the ending amount, it is 1.05 times 1 plus x is equals to 1.055 raised to 2, which we got earlier. And now let us um, let us arrange it. So 1 plus x is equals to 1.055 over raised to 2 and divided by 1.05. So the last step is let us arrange it again into x is equals to 1.055 raised to 2 divided by 1.05 minus 1. So the end we should be getting 0.006000238, or by multiplying to 100 we should be getting 6.00238%. So the next step, which we should be getting the expected return on 2 year series. So to get that one, 0.055, which we got earlier from 5.5% minus 0.002, which we got which it says here that a 2 year bond must be 0.2% higher than the expected return on series of two 1 year bonds. Now, so the answer for that would be 0.053, or if you multiply it by 100, it should be 5.3%. Now, recall the Annual expected return from the series of two 1 year securities can be expressed as follows, where X is 1 year rate next year. So to get that, 1.05 times 1 plus X is equals to 1 plus 0.53, which we got here earlier, the 5.3%, and then raised to 2. And now the next one is 1.05x is equals to 1.053 raised to 2, and then minus with 1.05, which we got from the option 2 earlier also. Now to get the x, x is equals to 0.0588090 over 1.05, and the answer should be 0.0600806, which is, if you multiply that, you should do if you multiply that to 100, you should be getting 5.60086%. So that would be the end of our lesson about interest rates. I hope that you enjoy our presentation, and I hope you learned a lot from our presentation as well. Thank you very much for listening, guys.